Hello guys, let's look at Kcse 2022 paper 1 prediction. We have 20 questions, so we start by looking at question 1. Briefly describe soft copy and hard copy. When we talk about soft copy, this is where the end results are displayed on a screen. The user can see the results but cannot touch them. On the other hand, you can just look at examples, like when you talk about speakers, when you talk about music, movies, such. Those ones are produced by the speakers. We cannot touch them. Movies we cannot also touch. Those ones are displayed by the monitor. The monitor is also called the visual display unit. So examples of soft copy output devices or soft copy output, you can talk of music, you can talk of movies, and also some videos. On the other hand, we have hard copy output. This implies that the output is permanent, that is, it can be retained for an indefinite period. The user can see and touch the results. For example, we have hard copy output devices like the printer. The printer produces a printout, just like a question paper in Kcse or in any other exam, that is tangible. It also, you can see it. On the other hand, we have graphical plotters. Remember, we have just come from an election period where we used to have billboards. Billboards are printed by machines called plotters. Also, we have microforms. Microforms are used in libraries to give the books, whereby you can have a printed form to show that you have been given a textbook or not. Question number 2, computers use ports for data transmission. What do you understand by COM and also RTP? Guys, we have the answers. We have COM ports. COM ports are also called serial ports. They transmit data bit by bit. On the other hand, we have the RTP port, also known as parallel ports, transmit multiple or simultaneous data at a time. It is believed that they print 8 bits at a time. Then we have question number 3. These 3 factors to consider when deciding on the choice of a data processing method. For instance, if you want to process data, what are these factors that you should consider? Number 1 is the size of the data. You have to consider how much data you have. Number 2, data dynamics. Also, we have changing or editing of the data. How will you edit the data? How will you format the data after you have just captured it in the system? Also, the speed of data use. That one is also a very crucial point. Then we have number 4. In book 4, you rant about application areas of ICT. Give 2 applications in a school. How can you apply ICT in a school? In a school, like in your high school or in your college, you have financial systems like that are controlled by the accountant or the bursar. Those ones are financial systems. We have library systems where you borrow books and return. We have marketing systems to advertise your college outside the world. We also have research systems where guys or students go and do their research. We also have education systems, e.g. computer-aided learning and also computer-aided instruction. Then number 5, WOM means write once, read many. Explain 4 types of optical discs in the market today. We usually have the writables, we usually have the recordables. So guys, we have CD recordable or the CDR. We have CDRW, this means CDR writable. We also have CD-ROM or CD read only memory. We also have DVD-R or that is the disc. We mean it digital versatile disc recordable. We also have DVD-RW, that is DVD writable. So guys, those are some of the disks we have at the worm. Then we have what is a proter. Name 3 types of proters. So guys, we have also agreed that during the election period, we were using proters to print the election materials or the billboards. So we have a proter is a computer hardware device, much like a printer that is used for printing vector graphics or maps. So it is used for printing larger graphics, just like we have the billboards of politicians. So we usually have drum proters. Drum proters is a specialized output device whose name indicates its function. This device works by moving a pen on a single axis track, which the paper moves on a cylindrical drum. Typically, the drum moves the paper to the right and left, while the pen or pens draw up and draw up and down. If you use more than one pen, then you can have sufficient or different colors. So we have flat bed proters. Flat bed proters are output devices whose name also hints at their function. They work by fixing paper on a flat surface, where pens move to draw the image. We have inkjet proters. We also have that is the meaning of it, that the third most popular kind of proter is an inkjet proter. This device pushes beads of ink directly onto the surface of whatever you are printing on. So guys, we have inkjet proters, we have flatbed proters, we have drum proters. Those are the main 3 types of proters in the market. Then question number 7, explain the following terms as used in word processing. We have indenting, alignment, footnote, and endnote. So when we talk about a footnote, it is the note or text found at the bottom of a given page, where an endnote is a note or text found at the end of the document. In word processing, the word indent is used to describe the distance or number of blank spaces used to separate a paragraph from left to from left or right margin. Alignment is a word used to describe how text is used or how text is aligned or arranged in between the margins. Usually have right align, left align, central or center, and justified. Then question number 8, discuss 3 ways in which air is regulated in a computer room. Number 1, you can open the windows, avoid overcrowding. Also, you can have sufficient installation points. That is, computers can be set in different positions to avoid overcrowding. Also, you can install air conditioning system or installing cooling fans. So guys, these are some of the answers that were expected in that question. Then we have question number 9. Discuss 4 hardware considerations when purchasing computers. There are so many hardware considerations when you are really buying a computer, but the main ones are, you can consider the brand. You can buy HP, Dell, Sahara. You can also buy Lenovo or any other brand depending with the popularity or your needs. Also cost, you must consider the cost, whether the system is too expensive for your pocket or not. Size, portability, this means how you can be in a position to carry the gadget from one place to the other. Just buy a CPU or that is a system unit or a laptop that you can easily carry around. Also usability, you can talk about the function for which the computer performs is also a significant determinant of the kind of computer one buys. For example, if you are buying a computer for a disabled person, that is like somebody who has a hearing disability, you cannot really use the computer that a normal person will use. You must use a computer that understands voice input. Then question number 10, explain audit trail, data encryption, passwords, and raw files as learned in Form 2 in data security. Guys, we have learned about audit trail. This is checking for weaknesses on a network before the data transmission takes place. So you just carry some data checking to ensure that all weaknesses that hackers and crackers can use are fixed. Then we have data encryption. This refers to mixing data in a form that only the sender and the recipient can understand. We usually use a encrypting and decrypting key, public or private keys, to make sure that only the sender and the recipient can understand that one. Then you have passwords. You know a password. You also know about PIN numbers in your phone. These are secret phrases that you type to log in or to sign in. Then log files. These are a series of files kept to show an account of who logged in, when, and what these guys did during the time they logged in. Those are called log files. Then question number 11, state 3 files created in a mail match. When you are creating a mail match, you create 3 files. You start by typing the letter or the main document. Then you type the addresses or the data source. Then you combine the data source and the main document or the letter. That one now brings a merged document. So we have 3 files, primary, secondary, and tertiary, just like I've indicated in the marking scheme. Then now question number 12, state 2 sources, resources, under operating system. The operating system usually control the processor or the CPU. It controls the memory. It controls the input and output devices. Also, it controls the secondary storage devices. And lastly, it also controls the communication devices. So then question number 13, what do you understand by the term embedded chart and chart sheet as used in a spreadsheet? When you create a chart in spreadsheet, it is usually part of the worksheet, but you have to move it from the part of the worksheet to be an independent worksheet. That is, it becomes a chart on its own worksheet. That one is called a chart sheet. Then we have question number 14. Explain 4 data management methods used in a worksheet or spreadsheet. We have sorting, filtering, subtotals, and data validation. Last question in section A is that what is the function of what if or goal-seek function in spreadsheet? So you can use goal-seek to determine what interest rate you will need to ensure in order to meet your own goal. On the other hand, goal-seek works only with one variable input amount, and that is input value. If you want to accept more than one input value, for example, both the loan amount and the monthly payment amount for a loan, use the solver add-in. Okay, for now, assume about the solver add-in, but the difference between now these two is that what if analysis is the process of changing the values in the cell to see how those values will affect the outcome of formulas on the worksheet. So we have the difference between that is between goal-seek and also its Kcse, that is what if analysis. Then we get to section B. We have this flowchart, guys. Study the flowchart and draw its pseudocode. So we have start, any scores, yes. Then we have sum is set to 0, counter is set to 0. Then we read the score. Sum equals to the sum plus score. Counter is counter incremented by 1. Then more scores, if there are more scores, then average equals to sum divided by the counter, and the print, then you print the average, or also you print the score, then end. On the other hand, if there is no any score, no exists, then the program stops. So those are the sum of the those are the sum of the points you are required to capture, that is in that question of form 3, that is question number 16. This is the pseudocode. You have begin. You can also use the word start. Where score exists, initial sum to 0, initialize counter to 0. Then you input the score, increment the counter by 1, add score to sum. If there are more scores to read, compute average as sum divided by the counter. Then print the average. Input next score, and if print no existing that is records, and also exit. So guys, that's how you are supposed to look at that question. That is how you are supposed to look at that question in question 16 of form 3 work. Then we have question, the next part B, describe 3 methods of testing, that is 3 methods of testing a program. You can use dry running or desk checking. You can use debugging utilities. You can also use test data, or you can also use various data variation and extreme, including good and bad data that are entered into the system to see whether the system will halt. Then we have, when developing programs, there are 3 types of errors. How do you describe the 3 types of errors? We have logic error, we have runtime error, also we have the syntax errors. In your book 3, just go and read more about types of errors. Then we have list down 4 selection controls used in writing a program as run in form 3. Usually have case select, if then else, if then. Then we also have nested if. Those are some of the select control structures. Then we have outline for benefits of structured programming. Some guys can call it structured programming or modular programming. So we usually have that errors are more easily found. Application programs are easier to read and understand. Application programs are less likely to contain logical errors. Higher productivity during application program development. And lastly, improved application program design. Then we have question number 17. Explain 4 ways in which ICT can help learners in an institution. So ICT can help learners to communicate. ICT can help learners to create different stuff in IT, disseminate, that is to send information, to store information, and manage information. So those are some of the key points that are crucial to that question. Then question 17, explain 4 ways in which ICT, okay, that one we have checked, sorry guys. We have define the following terms. We have downloading, hyperlink, web browsers, ISP. So ISP stands for Internet Service Providers. These are guys who supply us with internet, like Jabonet or Access Kenya. Then we have web browsers. It is a program that allows you to surf or to browse or to scroll the internet. Then we have a hyperlink. A hyperlink is a link or a bridge from one page to the other. Lastly, we have downloading. Downloading means getting files from a network to your computer, just like you can get music from internet to your that is to your machine. So guys, those are some of the terms used in internet and emailing. Then we have the next terminology. Like some guys can talk of sign in, sign up, log in, log out. So you should also be conversant with such terminologies, just as they are used in internet and that is in internet and emailing. Then we have differentiate between sign in and sign up. Sign in implies creating an account. Log in, then you put the password, whereas sign in implies gaining access to a already existing system. Then we have defined spam mail, disk, and on board modem. On board modem, just like the term implies, it is a term for an internet modem that is a modem that comes as an expansion board you can insert into a computer. Then we have spam. Spam is any kind of unwanted, unsolicited digital communication that gets sent out in bulk. So when you talk about spam folder or spam is just an email or a file that is not supposed to be in your system. It is just sent there in many ways to make sure that you are distracted or you are confused. Then we have a disk. A disk is the storage media. Then we have part E, define GUI and WIMP as used in computing. So when you talk about GUI, GUI stands for graphical user interface. Window stands for icons. The WIMP stands for Windows, icons, menus, and pointing devices. This denotes a style of computer-human interaction involving the aforementioned elements of the graphical user interface, that is the GUI, which is the most common interaction method being used in desktop computers, also in mobile phones. Then we have the next part of our question. So we have convert. When you hear or you have ever heard about convert means calculations. So convert a decimal number such as 26.2510 into its binary. So what you do, the first part is called the fractional part. You divide it into two. The second part is called the fractional part. It is multiplied by 2. Then the first part is read from bottom to top. The second part is read from top to bottom. So this is how you are supposed to perform or calculate the stuff. Then we have convert negative 17 to binary. This is using two's complement. So what you are supposed to do is to convert it into binary. Then one's complement you have to negate or do that is do something called bitwise not. Where there is 1, it becomes 0. Where there is 0, it becomes 1. Then you add them up by adding 1. That becomes 2's complement. Then we have outline for ways in which data integrity might be maintained. Data integrity refers to the correctness, the accurateness, and timeliness or time bound of data. So how can you maintain data integrity? You can maintain it by performing risk-based validation, select appropriate system and service providers, audit your audit trials, change control, quality IT and validate system, plan for business community, be accurate, and also archive or backup regularly. Those are some of the strong points that you can use to defend yourself when you're asked about data integrity. Then we have part C, discuss 4 advantages of using questionnaire as a fact-finding tool. Number 1, questionnaires save on time. Nowadays, you can type one questionnaire in Google Maps and then send it online to millions of people, so it is cheaper. Rich people will also wish to use the method. We have scalability, respond anonymity. That means that the respondent may not write his name but respond correctly. Also, we have flexibility for respondents over where and when to complete the questionnaire. We have data accuracy. We also have differences in understanding and interpretation. Some guys may not understand exactly what you want. Also, we have answered and unanswered questions. Part C, distinguish between source code and object code. Other guys can ask you differentiate between source program and object program. So source code is generally understood to mean programming statements that are created by a programmer with a text editor or a visual programming tool and then saved in a file. Object code generally refers to the output, a compiler file which is produced when the source code is completed. This means that this is the translated version of a source code. Then we have distinguish between a mouse pointer and an insertion point. The insertion point is also called the Kcse. It is the blinking line in your document that indicates where text should be inserted. There are several ways to move an insertion point. The I-beam shows where your mouse pointer is. The blinking insertion point shows where your next word will be once you start typing. Then we have, what are the roles of recycle bin? What are the roles of recycle bin? What do you think recycle bin does? So the recycle bin acts as holding bay for deleted items such as files and folders, and even shortcuts. When you delete a file or folder, it is not deleted from your computer permanently. Instead, Windows 7 and above places the deleted items on the recycle bin. Then we have list 4 advantages of fiber optic. This is form 4. Fiber optic has a higher bandwidth. It has a longer transmission distance. It has a greater flexibility, improved latency, and also stronger security. Differentiate between DRAM and SRAM. SRAM, or static RAM, is type of random access memory that retains data bits in the memory as long as power is being supplied. Unlike dynamic or DRAM, which must be continuously refreshed, SRAM does not have this requirement, resulting in better performance and power, and lower power usage. Then we have differentiate between DRAM and SRAM. Guys, we have answered that. Describe the following types of queries. We have delete query, select query, update query, append, and make table query. Simply as the word goes, delete, it deletes the current table data. Select is used to perform operations like sorting, filtering, etc. Then we have append. Append means adding. Well, also we have make table query. Make table query makes the table. Append adds the data to the query or to the form. So you're supposed to just understand the terminologies as used. Then we have question 20, outline 3 major ways that a company network administrator can enforce good network practice. Number 1, it is by recording the log files. or keeping the log files, creating user accounts, block unnecessary websites like pornography. People will just go there and watch. Also install firewalls and antivirus. Identify 4 major categories of electronic data processing which make up computer systems. So we have the input, we have the central processing unit, we have the storage, and also we have the output device. These are the classification of computer hardware in short. Then we have outline 4 contents of user manual that would help the user to learn the system with minimal guidance. Number 1, you can take screenshots of colored parts of your screen. You can use easy language. You can also use any other method that you feel it will make your sister or your brother to run. Then we have distinguish between dynamic and static systems. A static system is a memoryless system. A dynamic system is a system in which output at any instant of time depends on the input sample at the same time as well as at other times. In other words, the system in which output depends on the past and or future input at any instance of time, then this system is known as a dynamic system. So guys, it is upon you now to try and get that meaning of the two terminologies. Then we have outline 4 contents of user manual. Okay, that one is already tackled. Let's go to the next question, guys. Distinguish between, that one we have already tackled, guys. Then we go to the last 2 parts of our prediction paper 1. We have list 3 programming languages that can be used by web developers. You can use HTML, hypertext markup language. You can use CSS, cascaded style sheets. You can use Python. You can use PHP. You can also use JavaScript. Lastly, explain 3 types of maintenance. We have preventive maintenance, we have corrective maintenance, and also effective maintenance. When we are talking about preventive, this means you are maintaining your system to prevent damages in the future. Corrective means you are correcting some errors that has been flagged by your customer. Then we have perfective. These ones are done to make sure that your system adopts the new operating system or adopts the new application software. So guys, remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember to share the videos. Also remember to visit again and see what's new. So guys, thank you very much for watching and see you in my next session.